This video was first seen by patrons a few days ago. If you would like to be able to see these videos a few days earlier, please consider becoming a patron.
Hi, I'm the Godless engineer. Today I'm here to talk to you about the Nag Hammadi Library and the Gnostic Gospels. Now, a lot of people have heard about them and how these Gospels or these codices, these sacred texts, just contain more lore about Jesus and his broselfs. But I'm kind of curious as to what you actually know about these particular texts and what they say and the claims that they make about Jesus.
Godless engineer, a conscious pioneer, a logic general, a reason brigadier. More bullshit from the pulpit. Meet me in the comment section and you get schooled, bitch. The Godless engineer.
This series that I'm going to be producing is going to cover what Gnosticism or Gnosis actually is, how this library of codices were found, and what is actually contained within these codices. Now, the latter point is going to be the bulk of the series that I'm producing, but these first two I can easily answer right here in the beginning, in the introduction to the series. Gnosis? What the fuck's Gnosis? Gnosis is derived from the Greek word for knowledge, or act of knowing. The Grecian language actually has the knowledge separated out into two distinct parts. The first one is actual rational, reasonable knowledge that you would have. Shit that you learn out of a textbook. The second one is more of experience-based, stuff that you experience personally and know intimately. That particular version is what Gnosis is concerned with. More importantly though, this speaks volumes to what the early Christians, the early Christian community was actually like in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd centuries. Now, in the 1st century, the Christian community was extremely diverse and evolving rapidly. The Gnostics of early Christianity actually separated themselves from the mainline Christianity by saying that just simply a belief in Jesus isn't what was needed in order to be a Christian, that they had to have a divine or personal experience in order to validate their knowledge. Now, during the 1st century of the Christian community, there was no real set thought for how a Christian community should be. I mean, there was no format or anything. And so this really did create a perfect environment for this particular type of Christianity to grow, because it was just an amalgam of different types and versions of Christianity and different ways to come at Jesus. At this point in time, the future of Christianity wasn't really set at all. I mean, it could go in any kind of fucking direction. Of course, we know what direction it eventually went. Now, the last prominent Gnostic Christian was Valentinus, and he was actually in consideration to be a bishop of Rome in the mid-2nd century. So, you know, this motherfucker was legit. And he was forced out by the newly emerging Orthodoxy Church. And then by 180 CE, Irenaeus was already writing, back alley battle raps against the Gnostics. Now, the struggle between the Orthodoxy Church and the Gnostics was over by the 5th century. At this point in time, there was an order that went out that was seeking to destroy all of the Gnostic texts, but there was one particular sect of monks from the monastery of St. Pachomius seeking to preserve some of these Gnostic Gospels that were floating around at the time. Now, fast forward about 1,500 years to December 1945. A peasant living in the area was actually rooting around for some fertilizer, stumbled across a red earthen jar. Now, he was really hesitant about breaking open this jar because he was afraid of jinn. That would be, genies, kind of like Robin Williams in Aladdin.
Phenomenal cosmic powers!
But his eye for wealth and gold and all that shit was a lot greater than him worrying about some motherfucker coming out of this earthen jar. So what did he do? He cracked that sumbitch open, and out fell all of these codices. They were bound in leather, and they looked old as fuck, and he figured he could get a lot of money off of them. So he began selling them on the black market, and eventually it all made it into the hands of intellectuals. In all, there were 13 codices and 52 sacred texts. Needless to say, this series is going to be one long motherfucker. Now, there are 4 principles to Gnostic thought that a lot of people have really kind of tried to mold and create an outline for, you know, what basically constituted these Gnostic versions of Christianity. The first one is the most obvious one. It's the one that I pointed out before, but it's the direct and personal experience to authenticate this intimate knowledge that they have. Number 2, Gnosticism is a knowing by and of the uncreated self, or self within self, and this particular knowledge leads to freedom. Now, this particular concept actually causes a little bit of a rift with orthodoxy Christianity. This normally leads the Gnostic Christians to say that this creator God is actually some kind of lying demon and is often characterized as the fool, the blind God, and the architect or the lesser creative force. Number 3, they also have a reverence for texts that are normally cast aside by the Orthodoxy Church, and they hold them close and dear to them. Number 4, and this one is another one that really deviates away from, you know, the Orthodox Church, and that would be that God is normally referred to in a dual sense, like in respect to genders. It's referred to both he and she, often confusing the two or stating that it is both of them. And so this has often led people to surmise that Gnostic Christian women would have been given a lot more chances to equality than those in the Orthodox Church. If you don't recall, in the Bible as it exists now, women aren't exactly treated so well. Well, thank you for joining me for this introduction video and a little bit of a background on the Gnostic Gospels. If you will, go down below, leave me a comment about what you think about the Gnostic Gospels, if you have read them, if you have not, if you are excited about this series, if you are excited about hearing me explain this shit. Please, go down below, let me know. I can't wait to hear from you. If this is your first time here and you're interested in knowing more about the Gnostic Gospels, subscribe to my ass. I would love for you to join me on this journey. And, as always, question everything.